Hi, this is John from EvoGov, and in this video I'm going to show you a project that we just completed where we assisted a town with upgrading their town seal. This is for the town of Warren, New Hampshire, and it was a really interesting little project, so I think it would be a good one to share and kind of show you sort of what goes into some of these projects and some of the things that we'll go over as far as techniques and best practices will probably help other clients. So yeah, let's kind of get into this and get started and show you how it was done. So when we start to build a website for a customer, one of the first questions we ask at our kickoff meeting is, do they have any branding collateral that they can provide to us to build the website? Do they have logos, a color scheme, fonts, or a brand book, or anything like that, a branding guide? And for the larger clients like counties or sometimes larger special districts or cities, we do get those assets that are provided to us, and maybe they've gone through a branding exercise to identify what's special about their community, and that ends up into the branding standards. But in other cases, especially if it's a smaller community like Warren, who has 6,000 residents, they may not have the resources or the time or the staff to kind of generate those things. So in a case like this, what we were provided was this image, and you can see that this was hand drawn. This is the seal that they are currently using even in their email signatures. And an artist drew it to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the town, which you can see below with the years there. And in certain rare cases, we as a company would look at this and say, do we want to run with this and put this on the top of the website, or would it make more sense for us to, have some skin in the game here and actually remaster this for the client? So that's what we decided to do. It's a small community, and it could really go a long way to helping the design of the entire project, because we also need to come up with a color scheme for how we would remaster the site. So let's take a look at this seal and see what it's all about. Now, most logos or seals for a community have elements in them that are very personal to the character and history of the location, and this seal is no different. You can see here on the left this building, which is a schoolhouse from the 1700s. There's a church here that's around that was built around the same time period, and a very strange element here, a ballistic missile on the right, which we had to do some research into why that was in there, and I'll talk about that. And then this building at the bottom, which is a fish hatchery, and it's just a very interesting landmark in the community. So we've got the town of Warren, New Hampshire on the top, and the date it was founded, and the year 2013, which marked their 250th anniversary. So because these elements are flushed out and they are so important to the community, that was one of the deciding factors in whether or not we should take the risk to actually redesign this. Because a lot of times, these things are so personal that if we were to just come up with a seal, the likelihood of that, being accepted is pretty low on the first try. And we didn't want to get into a huge iterative process of helping a customer to go through a whole brand identity process, which could easily cost more than the whole website revamp. So one of the first things we look at here is the colors that are present in the logo, no matter what condition it's in. And you can see we pulled some of those colors down here. And then the blue was kind of the primary color because it's in the ring of the seal. So when we pull that blue color and we get the value of that color, we can actually get, sample the colors out of the image. We get this sort of blue color here, right? And then if we take that value over to a tool like Adobe Color, we can use that as our primary color and then look at some complementary colors and split complementary colors using color theory to develop a sort of color scheme for the website. Now, this can be somewhat hit or miss, and The color that we start with sometimes is using an element that's already present, like in the seal, but it may also come from a photograph or many other sources, right? So when we look at the double split complementary color theory here, what Adobe's calling color harmony, this creates a very bright color scheme where if we were building a site for a city in Miami, it might go that route. But looking at the complementary colors of that sort of aqua color, this is a great color scheme because this is an area in New Hampshire where there's a lot of pine trees and things, right? So it's going to be beautiful. So this could be the main highlight color, and then the darker blue color from the edge of the ring would be a secondary color to that. And then this tan color, which is very hard to get tan right. A lot of times when you're trying to get a manila folder type brown or a tan color like this, it can look like baby food, right? And it can really mess up the whole design. But this one's really nice and is a good highlight color. So from this initial just diving into the color theory, we were able to pull out what would be the primary colors and the secondary colors for the initial layout of the site. Okay. And then the next step was to look at these landmarks and see if we could get some information on them, because we could just trace these from the seal here to try to make a newer version of this, but the resolution's not that good. The detail's not necessarily super great either. But when the seal is finally designed, it's not going to be very big, right? So you can't get into crazy detail with the individual elements. They have to be a bit cartoony, a bit, just outlines of these buildings to get the effect we're looking for. So the next step was to go out and do some research, and here you can see there's this missile. Had to do some research on that, but basically it is a retired nuclear missile that was retired in 1964. And what's interesting is that missile, when it wasn't carrying a nuclear warhead, which it only did a couple of times before it was replaced by newer technology, it was used as a booster rocket on the Mercury mission. So Alan Shepard, who was born in New Hampshire, rode on a rocket where this was these types of rockets were used as a booster. So this is to commemorate Alan Shepard, who lived in Derry, New Hampshire, and that's why this retired missile is part of their culture there in the town. So kind of a neat story. And here you can see the old church. There's the missile, and there's a couple of different views of it. This one was sort of cut off, as well as the church, so it wasn't really usable. But by using this photo right here, we were able to zoom in on the structure of this church and then create an outline of it that looks like this right here. So here you can see it. Now, these look very basic. It's not meant to be a photograph, but remember, these are going to be scaled way down in the seal, so they have to be kind of basic, right, to get the effect. So the next thing was the fish hatchery, and here you can see a postcard from the 1940s of what that fish hatchery looked like, and it's got this sort of salmon red brick and this green roof. It's very distinctive. It's the architecture of that building is really quite fascinating, and it's still in operation today, this fish hatchery. So here's a modern view of the fish hatchery. Obviously, the landscape's changed over the years quite a bit, but it's an important landmark in the town, so it definitely needed to be sort of redrawn and brought into the seal. So here was the updated drawing, which came from this photograph here. Just by tracing it in Illustrator, we were able to get this sort of primitive version of that for use in the seal. The next element was the schoolhouse. This is the village school, Warren Village School. Don't know when this was built. I'm sure there's a Wikipedia article on it somewhere, but my guess is it's as old as the church and some of the other landmarks there. And the initial thought was to get some of the siding and the textures of the roof tiles in the drawing, but again, when it's scaled down, all that would be lost, right? So it ended up being a little bit more basic than that, but here it is. So that was drawn from that. And then if we look at this image here, this is actually this looks really grainy, right? But this is actually from an email signature of someone that works at the town. So they are using this, and they do have some font selections here, which was a good inspirational element for us. Okay, they like this font. I could tell immediately that this Warren text was Cinzel. It's a very popular font. We've used it in a lot of websites. Here it is. So just, there are AI tools available as well when you have a font and you don't know what it is, that we use to figure out what the font is. And most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, we're able to figure out what the font is pretty quickly. But this one was easy. It's very close to Cinzel, so we just sort of ran with that in revamping this logo. And then the next step was, do we want to use this secondary text for the words New Hampshire here, or find a different font? So, we went out and looked at a bunch of different fonts for New Hampshire. And in-house, we discussed it and decided on the second one right here. So from that, let's see, here's the ribbon that was redesigned for the logo. Let me zoom out. And here, I want to show you another element without giving everything away. This is when you drive into the town, this is the sign that you see. And this caught my attention because the mountains here match some of the scenery photos that I saw when we were doing research on this town. And it just made sense. Why not make this the green mountain background of the seal, which is what we did here. So we typed the text on a path. Some of the letter spacing here wasn't very great, and the ring wasn't bright enough. But the mountains, we just traced the sign, pulled it in, and then we used a graphic of the trees here, which just came from Shutterstock. It's just a vector image. Drop that in, and then we've got the basics of the background started. And then to break it up, we put, it's not showing up right here, but we had dots on both sides just to break up the top from the bottom. Okay. All right, and here's the final product, how it all sort of came together. So you can see we've got those, all the buildings are in there. It's been brightened up. We had to adjust the kerning of each letter to make sure the spacing made a bit more sense. And, when you place a logo like this at the top of the website, and you shrink it down so that your header is not too large, it can affect how much of this detail that you see. But there's other ways to use this seal. So here is the concept using the new logo, right? So if you look up here, you've got the whole logo. And then we used a knockout version of just the seal in the bottom so you can see a bit more detail in it. We think it came out really nice. And then by pulling out those colors, we could create some effects on the icons for the action buttons here on the homepage. So you can see when you mouse over, it's got Town of Warren with their the date it was founded, the year it was founded, and the accent colors changed to brown, that tan color that we used from the color theory. So, diving in and getting your, hands dirty with the figuring out what color palettes make sense for this affects not only the logo, but the whole scheme of the site. And then when this project's complete, we'll provide the master files for these elements so that if they wanted to put, this seal on the side of one of their public works trucks or for use in town hall or anything like that, they could totally use that. They could take this artwork directly to a sign shop, and because it's all vector art, it would print beautifully, so they could use it for letterhead or email signatures or a sign or a banner, anything like that. It would work. It would be great. So this is just to kind of show you the process behind the scenes of how we pull these elements together. We don't just start with a theme and drop things in. A lot of times, there's a lot of thought that goes into how to make sure that it ends up being a special look and feel for the community that represents them. Now, this photo that's here is just for placement. It's not really centered or anything quite yet. But ideally, we'd like to put a drone video there or something like that to make it really interactive for them, really special for them. But I hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions about graphic design, or if you need a logo fixed or something like that, you can reach out to our team. You can email us at sales@evogov.com. If you're an existing client, you can always use the live chat that's on our homepage and just ask us a question. We're usually in there around the clock, and we're happy to help. So thanks for watching, and hope this was helpful. Take care.